This next artist you see sitting next to me needs no introduction. You all, we saved the best for last. We have Mija in the house. Thank you so much for joining us here on In the Mix.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness, I have so many questions for you, but so little time. The first one I wanna ask you. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And we just had the 1 year anniversary of your debut album, Desert Trash. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We know you from the electronic space. I've seen you live at big raves before, but Desert Trash is so special because you're really changing your sound. You're really going for more of like an indie sound. Tell me what sparked that.
I think that indie characteristics have always been kind of inside of me. Indie music was huge for me when I was a little kid or like a teenager especially. And I kind of feel like my entire life just kind of goes in a circle in regards to my interests. I tend to have the same interests over long periods of time, but like I become really obsessed with certain things at certain times. And I think for that album, since it was my debut album, I really wanted it to be as true to myself as possible, even if that meant kind of stepping away from what people normally knew me as. And also just, it's more fun to write music that comes really naturally and doesn't feel forced. And like that album came naturally over a few years.
I love that. And you most recently just put out Alexandrine. I love that song. It is so good. It's so
Thank
dreamy.
You.
And you most recently also collaborated with Sharks. This is Mark Evans and Harry Dunkley. Shout out to those guys. So amazing. Video came out for that. What was it like collaborating once again on, a new sound for you?
That was probably one of the easiest collaborations I've ever done in my life. Mark and Harry, me and Mark have made music for a few years now, and him and Harry just started Sharks, and so they sent me over a song. I was at my house, and they're like, "Yo, we need a verse on this." And I was like, "Okay." So I wrote a verse in an hour, send it back to them, and it was like, boom, done. We're like, "Okay, we need to make more music together now." So we've been making like quite a few songs together, but that was the first one that we did.
I love that. What has inspired you in that new sound? Because your palette of music, you can do everything. We've seen all these different colors of Mija, of the Mija project, and now we're introduced to this. What has inspired you the most?
I think what's inspired me the most recently is going back to the basics in regards to songwriting and production. I think I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make things sound better by using production. And really, I think ultimately what it comes down to is if you can sing an entire song, start to finish, on a guitar or whatever instrument you want to play, and it holds by itself as a song, then like that's a good song. And then everything else is like, will make it even better and even more special. But I think kind of realizing that and then stepping back and being like, okay, now from now on, everything that I write has to stand alone on its own. Otherwise, it's not even going to be worth like adding other layers to and whatnot.
I love that. My one?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you like to make sure all your songs strip down without all the like additional layers of maybe drums and effects and whatnot. You like the actual song itself, just the words with like one instrument. You like to make sure it sounds
if the
cohesive?
foundation of the song is good by itself, if a crowd of people can sing it just like off the cuff, then that's how you know it's a really good song, and then everything else is extra and a bonus and it'll make it
Very true.
amazing. But
it reminds me of the scene in a Bohemian Rhapsody where he's like, we, and he was saying like, I can visualize the people clapping, and it's so easy for them to like
Totally.
sing it back to us. I want to say, love your swag. Those shoes, those are the coolest shoes I've seen all week.
Thank
It's
you.
always cool when you see something like that's so swagged out because you don't know what it is. I don't know who made those.
I think they're Tux. Yeah.
Those
Shout
are
out
cool.
to my UK dogs.
Shout out to everybody in the UK. Now, I got to do this because I've given every artist that came in an album. I give them an album from my collection.
Ooh.
And when I looked at your Spotify and I heard a couple of your songs, I knew exactly what I was going to give you. This one hurts for me to give away. This really hurts for me to give away.
Oh, no.
But this is my original Crystal Waters, She's
Oh
Homeless.
my
This is
gosh.
the original single. I wanted you to have
Stop
that
it.
because your most played song on Spotify, at least, is your rendition of the song.
Yeah, I
And-
just put that out last year. This is amazing.
Yeah, so that is for you to have. And I wanted to ask you, what advice do you have for other upcoming female producers? Because I know it's so hard in music for whatever reason, I'll never be able to grasp my head around it, but there's just, you see more tracks get placed from male producers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense to me because females are far more artistic. You guys are way more loving and kind. And I
He's being
think,
sweet.
no, it's the truth. And I think that the next evolution of music where it's going to go is when we, whatever doors it is or curtains, when we open it and have more tracks get produced by females. So how did you get into your space as a female producer, and what advice do you have for others?
I got into my space coincidentally, serendipitously, but I had always been kind of, I don't know, like I always did my own thing from the very beginning. I always had like a plan and a vision of what I wanted to do, and I would just go out and do it. I didn't even really think about any of the like the external factors of like being a woman in the beginning, because again, I didn't think this was going to be my career. I was just doing shit that I thought was really fun with my friends, and so I didn't really understand it until like suddenly like, okay, this is your career now. This is what you have to do. You're in LA. You're going to work with all these people. So I think I have like two pieces of advice for women. The first one is, don't be afraid to work with other like collaborators. Like, don't be afraid to collaborate with other producers and other artists, especially if you're first learning, because that's how you will learn the absolute most. And I know that it's kind of hard for women because they're constantly being told like, oh, well, she must have not have done anything. Like, it was all that other producer. And like, you tend to not get credit for a lot of things as a woman. But like, don't be afraid to work with people out of fear that people are going to like what they're going to say about you, because that's how you learn. That's how you grow. And then, you know, I guess I had a second piece of advice. What was I going to say? Also, like, don't give all of your things away to other people. It's a weird. It's kind of like a paradigm in a way.
Like, give up some.
Like, don't be afraid to like ask for help and to collaborate with people, but also like don't let yourself get walked all over on at the same time.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're an embodiment of not getting walked all over. You've put shows together. Now you're doing shows yourself, and so glad to have you here. And I know Silva was really happy to have you here.
I was so excited. I have one more question for you before you hit that stage. You most recently did the Park N Rave with Kill the Noise and Thomas Garcia, you know, the whole Blood Company crew. Shout out to all you guys. What was your favorite part about that, since it's been a while since anyone's gotten to play shows?
Every single part of that, honestly, was my favorite part. I did not realize how much of my identity I put into doing shows. So like, even just walking into like the green room area, which is only just me and Kill the Noise and Matt Zoe and like managers and stuff. But even just walking in there and seeing like how it was all decorated really nice, I was like, oh my gosh, this feels so special. And then walking on stage knowing that like there was a crew of like 10 of my Twitch followers all hanging out together at the rave. Like, even though I couldn't see them and like everything was so spaced out and far away, I could feel it. And that was just a really special moment, getting to go back to shows and having them all be there.
I love that. Well, I think we are gearing up for you to hit the stage. I could like literally talk to her for hours. I'm so excited. But are you ready to do this for us? We are so excited.
Yes. Are you ready?
We are ready. You ready, my one?
I am so ready. You can go hit the stage. We're going to engage with the chat here, see how everybody's doing. Awesome. I hope you guys are ready for Mija. Look at the swag. Just like impeccable swag. Like 12 out of 10. Yeah. You made it. And she made the swag. So, like, we got no excuse. Me, you, all you guys at home, no excuse. I think it's really cool. I was telling Mija upstairs that one of the reasons I gave her that album, so her remake of She's Homeless is a remake of a remake. The original version of La Da Dee La Doo Dow actually sucks. Like, the original version of the song is atrocious, but they redid it in the early 90s, the same year it released. And I think it's so cool that she, 30 years later, reintroduces it to a whole new audience, this whole new, you know, younger audience that might have not heard Crystal Waters. So I'm going to warn you, and I'm going to warn you guys, if she does that song, I will be jumping up and down from roof